Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. If you could all please rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Kim, if you could please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Boyd.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
None from staff.
All right. Council?
None from council.
Seeing none, then a motion would be in order to approve the agenda as published.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to public communications. We have a couple of celebrations this evening in the Employee of the Month / Employee of the Year realm. And I'm just going to say it's a party all about law. We are very, very excited. I'm going to start with the agenda has it in a little bit different order, but I'm going to start with Employee of the Year because it's the Employee of the Year 2024. So each month, our employees get together and they nominate one of their coworkers that exemplifies the mission, vision, values, and goals for the city of Kent. And then out of that pool of 12 employees of the month, we choose an Employee of the Year, and that is presented at an annual breakfast that occurred a couple of weeks ago. And I am very pleased to announce that our Employee of the Year is our very own Victoria Robin. She is here, putting her a little bit on the spot. I'm going to say a few words and I'm going to turn it over to Tammy because I know that there's a lot there. But Victoria is an amazing attorney that works with us on the civil side predominantly, things like code enforcement. You've heard us talk about Phoenix Court over the last couple of years, an apartment complex here in Kent that had significant issues. And Victoria really was the point person that put all of that together and brought us to what I think was a very successful resolution. She deals with our toughest properties, our toughest cases, and is always willing to do so in a way that really does exemplify that value of service to our community. So I want to say congratulations to Victoria, and I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Victoria will have her 10-year anniversary with the city, I believe coming up in May, if I have my dates right. In May of this year, she'll have been with us now for 10 years. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for well over 20 years. Thankfully, I was able to convince her to come take a chance on the city of Kent 10 years ago when she joined our staff, and I think she does not regret that choice one day. She truly just embodies what it means to take code enforcement seriously in our city. She understands the quality of life issues and the impact that it has on our community when properties fall into blight, and so she puts in the hard work and all of the hours to do what she can to help bring about compliance. So I am not surprised at all that she was selected by her peers as Employee of the Year. I'm incredibly proud to have her in our office. So thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move into 2025 and continue the theme of excellence in our law department. It is my honor to announce the March 2025 Employee of the Month, and that's Leif Drangsholt. So Leif is there in the back. I'm going to go ahead and read the nomination and then have Tammy and I believe, Sarah, you've got a few things to say. And then Leif, I know you've got company with you, so also want to find out who's here supporting you this evening. So Leif is our March Employee of the Month. He was originally hired on April 1st, 2022 as an assistant city attorney. Under the direction of the chief prosecuting attorney or designee, he serves as a prosecuting attorney for the city of Kent. Leif was nominated because he puts in the time and effort to make sure everything he does is done right the first time, even if it means staying late. It is obvious to anyone who has had the opportunity to watch or hear him work with victims and witnesses that he meets them where they are and is dedicated to helping them reach their goals. Leif is diligent, thorough, undeniably dependable, and compassionate. He also has a wonderful sense of humor and never shies away from an opportunity to pitch in and help out a coworker. He does so without being asked and never looking for praise. He is humble, kind, and a true team player. Leif recently represented the city in a trial that was difficult on paper and even more difficult in practice, yet he rose to the occasion. He dealt with the difficulty of the court entertaining novel issues that aren't typically granted judicial review in the middle of trial. It required him to think on his feet, and he navigated this well. This is just one example of how he does everything he can to hold offenders accountable. He is everything a resident of Kent would want from a prosecutor. Leif continuously embraces our values, and we celebrate him as March's Employee of the Month. And before I turn it over, I just want to say there's that sentence in there about being humble, kind, and a true team player. That is a direct quote from one of his coworkers that nominated him. And if I could think of anything that exemplifies who we are as a city and who we strive to be, it is that list of words. So for that, I am very, very grateful. Tammy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Leif has been with our office for 3 years. He's another employee in our office who lives in the community that he serves. So he lives here in Kent, and he is serving Kent each and every day. He's been with us for about 3 years, and he is one of those individuals that I just consider like our solid bookend of our department. He really helps hold us up. He's reliable. He's here every day. When I'm coming down to meet with you on Tuesday council nights, most often Leif is still in his office continuing to work. He typically is one of the very last individuals in the office, often with Victoria, working well into the evening to get the work done. I really do not know what we would do without Leif. He is a huge asset to our department. He's quiet and hardworking, but ridiculously funny and enjoyable when you get the opportunity to engage him in some conversation when he does get away from work. But truly honored to work with Leif each and every day. And again, hope that he's going to continue to be here for the city for the next 10, 15, 20 years to come. So thank you, Leif.
Well, I guess it's hard kind of going last, right? All the good stuff has been taken. But with Leif, I think there are no shortage of amazing things to say about him. He truly is dedicated to this city. As Tammy mentioned, he is a Kent resident, and I think he wears that with him every day when he comes to work. He's proud to come to work and fight for the residents of our city and make sure that he's doing everything that he can to improve public safety. I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing to have at your office next to your supervisor, but Leif and I are real close, and for me, it's a pleasure because I do get to hear him on the phone with victims and witnesses, and he shows them true compassion, and then to turn around and pick up the phone and be tenacious with defense attorneys is a real skill set and something that we absolutely value in our office. To say he's a team player is putting it mildly. He absolutely is the first one to volunteer to help out anybody. So as his supervisor, I'm very proud to be here today and to be able to honor him as Employee of the Month. So congratulations, Leif.
Thank you very much, Sarah and Tammy and Mayor Ralph. It's very nice. As you can see, I might be a little bit quiet, but my son here is making up for that on strength. With my dad and my mom here. So I really appreciate them coming along with my coworkers here. It's been great. Absolutely a blessing to have my supervisor next to me. I couldn't wish for a better team, and I really like living and working here.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. All right. We are going to move on. The next item on the agenda, Council, is an appointment to the Arts Commission. We've got Carlos Diaz. He is a working actor and musician. Pretty impressive bio. There's information in the packet, and my hope is that on the consent calendar you will confirm him as the newest member of our Arts Commission. All right. Moving into reports. So each one of your council members represents the city not only here. Oh, community events. I am skipping way ahead. Sorry about that. Look at, I crossed them out and everything. Let's do community events first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have events happening at Assessa Shower Center. If you have never been, please, you can find tickets on assessashowercenter.com. On March 7th, they have Tacoma Stars versus Empire Strikers. On March 8th, they have Seattle T-Birds game. March 14th, another Seattle T-Birds game. On March 21st, they're Tacoma Stars. And on March 22nd, another Seattle T-Birds game. And looks like there's an event happening on May 8th, Cookie Hookie, a fundraiser for the Community Events Fund, which will be hosted from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Community Events Fund is dedicated to making recreational, supporting, and cultural experiences accessible to everyone in the greater Kent area by covering admission costs for individuals and families who might not have the opportunity to attend. This fund helps ensure that our community can come together to enjoy the excitement of live events. And tickets for that there's a suggested $15 donation per attendee. And that event is on May 8th, and tickets are on assessashowercenter.com. And back to you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first one I want to mention is the Spotlight Series. I usually mention that. We're down to the last two shows. Carla Bonoff is the next show, and that one is just about sold out. So if you don't have your tickets, be sure to get those. Both of those last two shows are this month. We also have an open period, a call out to artists for our summer art exhibit. So if you're an art exhibit who works with two-dimensional art, look at our kentwa.gov/arts webpage, and you will see information there about that call out asking for applications for the summer art exhibit. And last, this coming Saturday, fun time for the kids. Kids up to ages 12 are invited to come to Kent Commons with their adults. Adults are free, $10 for the kids, and they'll have just about 12, 15 different art exhibits, or rather art projects that they can work on, all sorts of, whether it's a wax hand, a created robot, all sorts of different art projects. Great day for the kids, 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, also on kentwa.gov/arts for information.
All right, thank you. All right, we are going to move on. Next item on the agenda is the Economic and Community Development Report. And joining us this evening is Bill Ellis, our Chief Economic Development Officer.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Council. Good evening. It's been a little bit, but I would like to share a little bit of economic information and just start off, though, with something that's been probably in the community mind for a while. This is the former Tops supermarket on the East Hill, Canyon Ridge. They started going in for permits after Harbor Freight for TJ Maxx and Burlington Coat Factory about a year ago. They've completed the permits now for Burlington Coat. I believe they were waiting to finish permitting all of the site before going out to bid for a general contractor. I got off the phone this afternoon with the owner of Rhino Investments, who owns the shopping center, bought it a few years back in 2023. And he plans to go start construction this month. I don't have an opening date, but it'll open later this year. So I know that's exciting for a lot of people because it's been dark for a very long while as it worked its way through the Merlone Geyer multiple portfolio into the portfolio of the Rhino Investments based in Nevada, and they have secured their 3 tenants, and they've broken up that 66,000 square foot shopping center into 3 new uses. So a little bit of a community update on the East Hill to share before I run into global supply chains of the larger industrial valley, which I think is on the top of mind for a lot of people. There's a lot of news about trade, and I just want to point out that here in the Kent Valley, we do contribute a lot to the Washington state economy in transportation and warehousing. These are recent figures just completed in the last few weeks. We contribute over $10.8 billion. That's both direct spending, directly on employment and transportation and warehousing, indirect, but those folks also pay to others. Think about the traditional thing to say is go to the barber shop, go to the grocery store, that spending, and then induced. So the spending that comes from that industry, not just from the direct spending, the indirect spending, but what that economic activity unlocks for other businesses who are pursuing the opportunities off that sector. So this is the results of an input-output study. Kent Valley as a whole produces $10.8 billion for the state for transportation and warehousing, $14.9 billion for wholesale trade, very truck-intensive use there, and manufacturing $31.5 billion. Kent's portion of that, from if you look at just warehouses, is again about 40% of the warehouse stock, but in its own right is contributing a very large percentage. This is really evident when you look at aerospace manufacturing in the valley. So these are some new numbers. The rest of the state produces about 58% of the aerospace economic output. Kent Valley alone produces 34%. So how does that stack up to other parts of the state? Bellevue East Side contributes about 3%. Tacoma, Puyallup, Pierce County, 1%. Spokane County, about 1%. And these are some of the regions that you'll hear a lot about, the I-90 corridor or aerospace corridor. You'll hear about satellite production on the east side. But when you total up all the supply chain that's in the Kent Valley, you're talking about an economic output of $28 billion a year. The chart on the left there actually compares that to the El Segundo Long Beach area of California, another famous aerospace hub on the West Coast. We outpaced that by $6 billion a year in terms of our contribution. So when you have the frame of the Kent Valley, what you are saying to the state and to others is pay attention. This is a larger area than if you try to look at any one city on its own. And it's appropriate and proper to look at it together because we share labor market, we share a reality together. However, city of Kent alone is remarkable in the region because it is the only city in Puget Sound, virtually. I say virtually because Federal Way, I think, added 50 jobs over the last 7 years to add manufacturing jobs. Kent added thousands of manufacturing jobs in the last 7 years. And that was a stated policy purpose of the last several years, going back to Rally the Valley, is that we have concertedly tried to have more manufacturing in the Kent Valley, which, if you recall from past presentations, produces greater jobs, higher wage jobs, and more tax revenue for the city. So we've been trying to steer towards manufacturing uses and recruit those as much as possible. So Kent is remarkable, again, in the region, amongst all these other cities in Puget Sound, to be adding manufacturing jobs. And this growth has been coming from food and beverage manufacturing, it's been coming from space, but we are also working, a large focus of our division is trying to retain, expand, support startups that are coming off the space industry, trying to help the companies that are looking to relocate from the rest of the region to be here, and to be that consolidation spot for manufacturing in the industrial lands that we have. This has been difficult because of the conversation about rents over the last several years in the Industrial Valley. So this is a 20-year series looking at CPI, then looking at the price per square foot of rent. CPI is the Consumer Price Index, is the red line. The blue lines are the average asking lease rate in the Kent Valley for a warehouse. And you can see for a long period of time there, CPI would go up and the warehouse value was about flat. And then in the last 5 or 6 years, it took a vertical jump. It is now plateaued, and there's a lot of conversation with all the new construction that happened in the last several years. It's described as the flight to quality. Businesses will now look to the newer buildings, and property owners of older buildings that may have lower ceilings or less great qualities in terms of amenities, or their sort of obsolescence of the building. They're starting to sell those off. So you'll see that REIT activity. I've talked about that last time I was here. But something else I really want to just highlight for council is that for the longest time, Tacoma and Fife, that submarket, and the Kent Valley submarket were about even in price. You can see the blue and orange lines there. Orange line was Tacoma, Fife. Kent Valley was its own blue line. Only in the very last several months, few quarters, you'll notice there's been a sharp divergence in the blue line and the orange line. That's because Kent Valley is starting to be priced very similar to South Seattle. Tacoma is now at a much lower price, and that's where a lot of the new construction is. I'm not going to tell you what this means yet because I don't think a lot of people know what this means yet. I think it's a point of conversation in the commercial real estate world. What does this mean? But it is a change, and I think there's several interpretations, and I won't privilege one or the other. One could be that Seattle Metro has grown over the Kent Valley in such a way that Kent Valley is basically the position that South Seattle is, and that's why the pricing is now similar. The other explanation is that there's a lot of supply in Tacoma. It's probably a little bit of both. But it is true that the types of companies that are seeking to be in Kent Valley are not also seeking to be in the new construction in Tacoma. They're coming to the building stock that we have. And I think this is borne out by the industry that we have and the manufacturing jobs that we have. Being cheaper doesn't necessarily mean that you have more jobs, more businesses. Having said that, I'm going to contradict it a little bit and say that smaller manufacturing businesses have been declining over this time period. So we have about the same number of jobs in the Valley for manufacturing as we did a few decades ago. We've done that while we've decreased the number of workplaces in aerospace manufacturing by about a third. So there is a lot of cost pressures on aerospace manufacturers, specifically small and medium-sized ones. There's a rising cost of doing business in King County. Some of that's explained by the natural merger and acquisition or consolidation of companies that we're seeing in the aerospace industry all the time. We have the counter trend in the Valley of a lot of new space companies. I talk a lot about them, but they're relatively few in number. The overall story here is one that there is a lot of pressure for a small and medium-sized aerospace company to do business. And in response to that partially, but also because it's proper thing to do. I would like to credit my colleague, Michelle Wilmot, a lot on this. She's uniquely set up and positioned to help pull together, working with the 4 mayors of the Kent Valley, thank you, Mayor, creating an employer table. We kicked it off in November of last year at the Museum of Flight. This is a photo of that. We had 20 CEOs of aerospace companies at the table, at the center table. Behind, you see all the public service support partners. We had over 35 attendees, people from our colleges, people from the several school districts, chambers, Pacific Northwest Aerospace Alliance, Pacific Northwest Defense Council, all of the different industry associations. And they're looking to the Kent Valley business leaders for leadership on what should we be investing on? What should we be working on? What is the agenda for the region of this state that is producing 34% of the economic output for aerospace manufacturing? What are the jobs? What are the occupations? What's working? What's not working? And so we had a facilitated conversation for about 2 hours. It was the very first meeting. We met again in February at Orion in Auburn, and we're starting to have work committees. We're having work committees on subjects like education and skills, where they're talking about how do we have a speakers bureau to work with our school districts. We are having committees on compliance. So how do we help small businesses achieve contract and procurement compliance when they're working with the DoD? All of this work to help retain and expand our local manufacturing aerospace businesses, and we're associating the right support partner from the larger ecosystem of services that don't necessarily know the employers, and the employers don't know each other. So we're doing a lot of facilitating and convening work right now. And it's a large effort, but I believe it to be a very worthwhile effort based on what the larger landscape is and the larger value that the industry brings. So I just want to point out that it brings a lot of energy from our team, and I again want to credit the large amount of hours and work that Michelle has been putting into that. So thank you, Michelle. Also want to thank the Port of Seattle, as we do every year, for their Port of Seattle partnership funds for cities. We use that to work on a project with AJAC, that's the Advanced Manufacturing Apprenticeship Committee, that is based in Kent. It's a statewide organization. They have their offices at the Centerpoint complex. And they're not currently signed up, but I hope they soon will be in the next couple of months with the Kent School District by MOU to be a training partner to the school district on a variety of things. What the Port of Seattle's funds were used for is professional development with Kent School District teachers, talking about what are the career paths that are available working through AJAC for Kent students. So we had Space Northwest, which is a space industry association, was a speaker recently with our teachers, and Blue Origin had a gentleman from Kentwood High School 15 years ago. He's now the head of Kent Machine Shop. He spoke to teachers, talked about the salary he's able to achieve, talked about that as a work environment, talks what it means to be a machine shop in his own pathway to that career. AJAC has Blue Origin as a training agent, as an employer that they work with, but it's not the only one. They work with a couple dozen in Kent. And we're doing a lot of just education of what is the pathways, what are the things that the school district can do to set up a young person working with their teachers to be prepared for pre-apprenticeship youth programs at the high school level before they go and matriculate onto apprenticeship programs. So this is continuing to implement the career and technical education plan that I've spoken to council and the Kent School Board last year. We're now taking tangible steps with AJAC. We're also taking tangible steps with ANU, some of the premier apprenticeship programs. I'll have more updates in the months to come about all the things that we're doing with the school district and all the things the school district is doing to implement the CTE plan, but this was a particularly notable one from last week, and it was fun to have someone who was from Kentwood High School talk about his own career path to teachers and sort of explain how these programs could be helpful. Lastly, just speaking of the Port of Seattle, I just want to highlight a program that's existed since the 1930s for those aerospace manufacturers that might be listening out there. The Foreign Trade Zone program was set up in the 30s to help create places within the factory floor that you could receive a product, work on it, and ship it out before you pay an excise tax or a tariff on that product. So there is this highlighted issue of products are going back and forth to Canada or Mexico and being worked on at a Kent or other factory in the region. Since the 1930s, they have this program so that as it goes back and forth across borders, it doesn't, until it leaves the FTZ, after it leaves that designated zone within the factory, it doesn't actually have to accumulate the tariffs. You don't have to pay it 7 or 8 times, you pay it the one time. So that's something that's important for supply chains and for manufacturing in the Valley. And this is a long-standing program, and there's help at Port of Seattle to exercise that. With that, I yield for questions.
All right, thank you, Bill. Council, any questions for Bill? Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a question, really just a comment, really. I mean, just the work that you do, Bill, and bring to us is just phenomenal, and I really appreciate it. I was told a couple of days ago, talking to someone, that this is also your 10th year anniversary at the city, and I remember he was here and he left, and Kurt and I did a full court press to get him back. I said, we cannot let this guy get away. So here we are 10 years later, so I want to personally congratulate you on your 10th year anniversary at the city and how much you mean to us, and really appreciate all the hard work you do.
And I always felt when you reached out to me at the time, and I've appreciated working here since, and I love the community, and I actually like the challenges. I think they're always refreshing and interesting, and I like the progress the community is making too. I really appreciate it.
But we can tell you're very passionate about your job, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
So I will add on to that. No matter where I am in the region, if I'm working with businesses or employers, Bill's name comes up, and they are grateful for the work that he is doing to elevate not just the city of Kent, but the entire Kent Valley. Had the opportunity last week to attend the employer roundtable, and the praise coming from the CEOs and the CFOs and the leaders at that table for Bill and the work that Michelle is doing was unending. From both our business partners as well as the education institutions in the room. So it really is exceptional, and I can tell you it is not common for economic development departments in this region to be doing the level of work that is being done. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think that absolutely. So.
Title away now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And then on to the legislative session. As you know, we are working very, very diligently to educate legislators around the impacts of things like streamlined sales tax, and also how important this sector is to the state's economy. And Bill has provided dozens and dozens and dozens of charts and graphs and data points to help with that work. So really grateful. All right, now we're going to move on to reports. All right. So where I started before, each one of your council members up here not only represents the city at the council meetings on the first and third Tuesday of the month, but also at the regional tables. So as you can imagine, being a part of that larger regional community is really important to our city, making sure that Kent's voice is being represented and that we are there for policy decisions and also funding decisions. So I am very, very grateful for that. And this section of the agenda is really an opportunity to share some of that work. I'm going to start out with a couple of updates. We talked a little bit about legislative sessions, so have had the opportunity to testify in front of several legislative communities about our top priorities, and really that is bringing funding back to the city of Kent. You've heard us talk multiple times about streamlined sales tax, the change in the way sales tax is sourced. The Industrial Valley used to be the place that generated sales tax, and the legislature made a change for a variety of reasons that then sent that sales tax to the community that is receiving the product as opposed to where it's originating from. So our goal this legislative session is to really impress upon our legislators why that change was so detrimental to the city of Kent and bring a permanent solution. So thank you, Council President, for testifying week before last, in front of the Senate. Our bill in the House has made it out, and we're waiting for it to be heard on the floor. The Senate bill did not make it out of committee, so we still have a 50-50 shot of being being successful this session. So I will keep you all updated as we continue that work. I will be in Olympia all day tomorrow, having conversations with our legislators. In that same vein, I have the honor of serving as the Vice Chair of Transportation and New Economy at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I was not at the council meeting 2 weeks ago because I was at that meeting, and really the conversation is bringing the rest of our city partners up to speed. They're starting to see the impacts of the digital economy and online purchasing because they've got delivery trucks coming into their city. Kent has seen the impact of that since the beginning because we are the community where the warehouses are, and so we've got that truck traffic that is continuously happening. So in my role as Vice Chair of the New Economy, it's really about talking about, yes, you are seeing these impacts, but here's the other side of the story. Had an opportunity to meet with Representative Rick Larson, Congressman from up north. He is the Vice Chair of the Transportation Committee at the federal level. So I had a good conversation with him about why it's important that those dollars, transportation dollars, continue to come back to the state of Washington. So it was a really good meeting, was spent with mayors from all around the country. Finally, I just want to wrap up. We also had our very first flood control advisory board meeting 2 weeks ago. I serve as the chair of that group, and that is local electeds that come together to provide comment to the King County Flood Control District Board of Supervisors regarding flood control projects, budgeting, and those kinds of things. Since we had our kickoff meeting, as you can imagine, very important conversations to the city of Kent. We've got the Green River that runs right through here, and we've benefited from that flood control district work significantly over the years, so we'll continue to stay involved at that level. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Pat Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to keep it short tonight. Just a quick reminder for the public that on Friday, March 7th, this coming Friday, starting at 8:30 a.m., we have our council retreat, and that will be held at the Green River Community College over at Kent Station. So we'll see you all there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually do not have any reports. I serve on 5 regional committees and boards. Well, we did not meet during the last 2 weeks, and we had our council workshop and committee of the whole earlier this evening, and for council workshop, we had a great update from our IT department on all the projects that they're working on, and that presentation is available on Kent TV 21. And our Facebook page. And with that, I'm going to start over with Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Madam President. I am chair of the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority Governance Board. Councilmember Larmer and Councilmember Boyd also serve on that. We had our meeting on February 19th. We had 2 procurements, the first being for procurement professionals, the other being for social work. So we honored those 2 professions for the month of March. We also heard petitions as the benefit charge review board and closed that hearing. So it was a very quick meeting, but very purposeful. And our next meeting is March 19th. I am also on the Regional Transit Committee. We did not meet in February, and we will meet on March 19th. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutner. Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Madam President. Earlier today, we had our Committee of the Whole meeting, and I serve as the Parks and Human Services Subject Matter Chair. And we had 2 items. First, we approved skip funding for 4 affordable housing projects, one of which is here in Kent. And then we approved the agreement with Earth Corps to do some work in the Mill Creek Canyon and also host 1 volunteer event there. I also serve on the King County Regional Law, Safety, and Justice Committee, and our past meeting focused on immigration, specifically policies regarding the interaction between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement. Municipalities in Washington follow the Washington state law, and the City of Kent has a good video on how that works, so you can look that up and get more information about that. I also serve on the Human Services Commission as the council liaison, and the commission approved the 2024 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. That's an annual report that is sent to HUD, and it explains how the city used our CDBG funds, which were about $1,065,000 for capital and public service projects. We also got a briefing from Project Be Free and the police department, and it sounds like things are going really great. They're out there doing a lot of work. And it sounds like the police department is happy to be working with them, and everything seems to be working really well. And then also the last thing I have is that I serve on the Washington State Urban and Community Forestry Council, and our last meeting we met with the new Lands Commissioner, Dave Upthegrove, and I was happy to see him there. And there's just a lot of uncertainties surrounding state and federal funding, so we'll see what happens with all that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Michaud. Councilmember Larmer, please.
Thank you, Council President. I am the subject matter expert for economic and community development. We did not have anything on the agenda for COW this evening. I also serve on the King County Aging and Disabilities Advisory Council, and we will have our meeting this coming Friday. So I will hold my report till next week.
Thank you, Councilmember Larmer. Councilmember Boyce, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I represent the council on PIC SCA. We have not met since our last meeting, but we do have a meeting a week from tomorrow, March 12th. Also, there is a network event dinner tomorrow. If you haven't signed up, please do so. We finally got a new SCA director, Robert Feinstein, so he's going to be Felstan, I think it is. And then also they'll be interviewing Dow along with our new SCA president, Tracy Buxton. So, but I will not be there tomorrow for prior commitment. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyce. Councilmember Boyd, please.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Yes, I sit on for the Land Waste Hazardous Management Program, the Waste Management Program through Sound City Association. We had briefings about our Q4 performance on February the 18th, 2025. We spoke about the metrics for our collections and our customers. We had direct services and we had a broad outreach. And we talked about the tons of hazardous waste that were properly collected. And we also discussed that in our Q3 program that we did collect less hazardous waste because of it's a pattern. The hazardous waste program is also phasing in a safe single-use device disposal, and we're working on to develop a new outreach campaign, and we're going to address. We will have a website, and that will to be determined. I'll let you know at our next meeting. And on our metrics for our Q1 through Q4 2024. Once again, we said the following are seasonal patterns so far as collecting tons of waste. In our Q4 2024, we had a higher number of MRW, that's moderate risk waste, customers were served, and more tons of MRWs were safely disposed of in our Q4 2023. And thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. Councilmember Fincher, please.
Thank you, Council Chair. For King Conservation District, the new supervisor of District 2 is Zachary Pratt. So we knew that there was an election, and he is the new District 2 supervisor. For Public Works, I'm the subject matter chair for Public Works. We have, like as Council President mentioned, great report to check out on the video from tonight that was streamed. We have reports on both the Flood Control District, the sub-regional opportunity fund, where we have about $98,000 that was added to the amount for some projects, which include the analysis for some grade separations over three of our railroad crossings, among other things, and the same for the work in the Transportation Improvement Plan. It'll go over some of the work. Some of it's on West Hill, some in the Valley, different places around Kent, but you can see work that's coming up and being completed. So that is it. We have the mid-meeting coming up. And I think that covers all four committees.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. And just a reminder, the council does have a newsletter that comes out tomorrow. And you can sign up on kentwa.gov for council's newsletter. And Madam Mayor, I did have the opportunity to attend Kent Rotary's Escapades on Saturday.
That's right.
With Councilmember Troutner, and Madam Mayor was there as well. And it's an opportunity to raise funds for our community, for our students in Kent School District and community members who are in need, and regionally and nationally, internationally. Actually, there's a lot of projects that Rotary does. So great event to participate in. And with that ends our report.
All right, and I will follow up. I actually had that written on my notes. Thank you for the reminder. Council President donated a dinner, and I believe at least 2 of them were sold and raised a large amount of money. So thank you for supporting the community and for cooking. All right, next item on the agenda is public hearing. We do not have one this evening, so that brings us to item number 7, which is public comment. Public comment period is the opportunity to speak to council and mayor on issues that relate to the business of the City of Kent or agenda items the council will consider. This is not an open public forum, and comments that do not relate to the business of the City of Kent are not permitted. Additionally, the state of Washington strictly prohibits people from using public comment to comment on political campaign purposes, including the support or opposition of a ballot measure or a candidate running for public office. Speakers may not give political campaign speeches as a part of public comment. We do ask that you, again, keep it related to items here at the city. When you come up, if you could please state your name and city of residence for the record. The timer will go up on the screen. We have a 3-minute timer. Kim, if you could please call the speakers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first speaker is Shinald Kumar, followed by Amase JK, followed by Adriana Suluwai. So just go over there.
And if you could step right up to the podium, please.
Hello, council members. My name is Shanal Kumar. I reside and work in the city of Kent. And today we have gathered here not just as individuals, but as a community that believes in dignity, equality, and the right to live without fear. Today I want to talk to you about something very important to us, and that is the need to have a LGBTQ sanctuary city, and why that matters to us now more than ever. We need a safe haven in a hostile world. Unfortunately, we live in a time where LGBTQ and individuals face discrimination, violence, and even legal prosecution. We need access to protection, community support, so LGBTQ communities can thrive. By establishing a sanctuary city in the city of Kent, we send a clear message that equality is not up for debate. A sanctuary city is more than just a place on a map. It is a promise that no matter who you are seen, you are valued, and you are safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Amase JK.
Bulavinaka and aloha, Honorable Mayor, Council members, and community members. My name is Amase Cheke, and I live 1 block away on West Smith Street here in Kent, and I also work here in Kent with Utopia Washington, a queer and trans-Pacific Islander-led organization. And I also serve as the vice chair of the Washington State LGBTQI Commission. And I'm here today to urge the city of Kent to take a bold and necessary step into affirming its commitment to its LGBTQI residents and workers by adopting a resolution similar to Tacoma's substitute resolution number 41628. While Washington State law offers vital protection against discrimination, the work of ensuring equity does not stop at the state level. Local governments have a responsibility to uphold these rights, to ensure they are meaningfully enforced, and to foster communities where everyone, regardless of who they are and who they love, can live freely, safely, with dignity. You've seen other cities take step. Tacoma, Olympia, Shoreline, and Spokane have each passed resolutions affirming their commitment to LGBTQI residents, ensuring city resources are not used to target marginalized people, protecting gender-affirming care, and standing firm against federal actions that threaten our rights. Kent must do the same. These cities, as cities across Washington, act to protect their residents, Kent has an opportunity to lead with values of equity, inclusion, and justice. At this time, when LGBTQI rights and individuals are being challenged nationwide, this is not just about policy, it's about who we are as a community. Maya Angelou once said, and I quote, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you've made them feel," unquote. Let us make sure that every LGBTQI person in Kent knows that they belong, that they are seen, and that their city stands with them. And I urge the City of Kent to pass a resolution that affirms the right and dignity of our LGBTQI community members and workers. This is more than a symbolic gesture. It's a promise that Kent is a city where everyone is valued and protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Adriana Suluai, followed by Maureen Richter.
Hello, Adriana Suluai, Policy Director for Utopia Washington here in the city of Kent. I don't think I'm going to beat the other two's testimony, but I wrote a lot of narratives around policy and how this is important. But as I was writing, I forgot my own story in this and why I reached out to the city of Kent, to the mayor and council members with the proposition for the resolution ensuring the rights of our queer and trans community. As someone who grew up in an island who barely sees the identities that we hold as trans people, it was a reflection that really pushed me to do this work. So as I continue to navigate the policy realm, fighting for queer and trans rights at a national and state level, I had to come back home here to the city of Kent, home of my political home, that is Utopia, Washington. The conversations that is going on now that continues focus and targets our queer and trans community is a narrative that we can see not only in our everybody else in community, it's a narrative that push the erasure of our queer and trans people. I've seen a lot of discrimination and hate towards queer and trans community, not only adults, but also youth. That is where it gets concerning. When youth fear to be in school, in places where they're supposed to feel safe, in places where they were meant to learn to build on the dreams that they have as each individual, is where this conversation becomes important. Hence, I know this will not be the last of this conversation. I know this will not be the last time you'll hear from me as I continue to echo the diverse needs of our community here in Kent. If you ever taken a step into our compounds at Mapumaya Clinic, it is not just for LGBTQ. It is for all our communities. And that is a mission and vision that we shared when we entered all spaces where everyone is felt welcome and safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Maureen Richter, followed by Judy Roan.
Hi, my name is Maureen Richter. I've been a resident and business owner for 45 years. This report you have in front of you is about my partner of 25 years. So, yes, very unfortunate situation. But I don't know if each one of you realize that my name is on here as a witness. I was not there. I was not called. Why would my name be on this paper? Well, when I went to the city to get this report, I was told, oh, I'm sorry, you have to get a public records request for that. I have a death certificate. I have everything. I'm not sure why that is. So I said, okay. I'll go put a public recs request in. Went right over to the desk, put in my request, waited. Oh, let me do it online. Boom, it happened right online. And I get it, and I see my name on here. Why would my name be on here? No officer called me. No, none. I got nothing. I got no chaplain calling me. They have my phone number. But you put it in the report. Now, anybody pulling up this report would think I was at this location. Would they not? I'm asking why. I asked Sergeant Clay, why wouldn't my name be on there? Well, it's an old form, and we're in the process. It's 17 years old, and we don't have a very good place to put it. Hello? In this day and age, that would be 2008, this form has not been updated? This is archaic. I think it's outrageous. Because anybody who would read this would think I was at this location and I witnessed this. I'm asking to redo this and take my name off of here. How is that right? Now, I've asked the officer, that responding officer, I left 5 messages on his voicemail for him to call so I could talk about this. Nothing. How does this make me feel? I waited, I got a death certificate, I replied, and only to be told, oh, you can't get that, you have to go to public records. Okay? So every wall I walk into, wait, there's something wrong here. We as a city can talk about, oh, this employee of the year and this art festival and this, and we can't even get a police report right on a death investigation. I can't even get a phone call and you get my phone number. There's something wrong. We're spending all of our dollars in the wrong way. This is not right.
Ma'am, so the time is up. The chief is in the back of the room, and if you would like to step out, I am absolutely positive he can answer those questions for you.
Oh, I'd love it. Okay. Yeah, that gets their attention right off the top, because every door I knock at, it's not there.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Judy Roan.
I'm Judy Roan, and I live in the Fairwood area. My husband just retired from 50 years of teaching, taught at Kent Ridge for 30 years. I just retired at Meeker Middle School as a counselor, and I was invited here by your lovely assistant mayor to come and meet with the council and you. I tried to get into the city hall today. I also visited the Chamber of Commerce, the library. I visited a lot of places. 3 hours carrying my sign. It's a little bit waterlogged. It was rather rainy today. It's part of the 50-50.1 movement, which means 50 states, 50 different states in this country, but we are one country. And we need to work together to promote the very same principles your first 3 speakers talked about. Valuing our diversity, loving the inclusiveness of this community, but also being very conscious of the equality and the equity in our community. So I just talked to people about this very short civics lesson. What is a democracy? It has a government of the people, for the people, by the people, based on justice and the rule of law. And I walked around town. I met a lot of people, Chamber of Commerce. Every business I walked into, I was greeted with thumbs up, way to go, I believe in you. Where you have another sign for me to carry? I want you to know I love this community. I've lived here for over 65 years. And I love the Kent community and the Renton community and the Fairwood community. I feel very fortunate to be here. So I want to thank your assistant for inviting me to come to meet you, Mayor, and the council members. And I know Bill and I have a bit of a relationship with the school board meetings. I also showed up there frequently to express my concern about the welfare of our students and in having enrichment classes for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, do we have any?
Mayor, I have no more people signed up to speak.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we are going to move on in the agenda. The next item is the consent calendar. This is a compilation of items that council has discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, had an opportunity to answer questions and provide input, and these things have passed out of the committee of the whole without controversy. This evening, we have consent items A through D. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 9 is other business. We do not have any this evening, so that brings us down to bids. We've got 2 bids. Joining us is our Public Works Director, Chad Barron. We've got 2025 plastic markings bid and a 2025 paint line striping and raised pavement marking replacement bid.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, and council. Had bids for our annual paint line striping and plastic markings. I'll start with the plastic markings. This is our arrows and stop bars and things where we actually use plastic on the road. Had 4 bids that we received. I'm going to apologize in advance. The low bidder has a very long name for whoever gets to read the motion. But 4 bids received. The low bidder was Construction Ahead, Inc., doing business as Pavement Surface Control. New contractor to the city, but they've been working out of Central Washington for a number of years. So they are going to give us a shot and vice versa. Low bid was for $304,000 and change, with an engineer's estimate of $386,395, and we recommend award.
Council, any questions? A motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I move to award the 2025 plastic marking project to Construction Ahead, Inc., doing business as Pavement Surface Control, in the amount of $304,130, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item.
Thank you. Second bid for the 2025 paint line striping. Also, 4 bids received. A low bid from Construction Ahead, Inc., doing business as Pavement Surface Control. Their bid was for $427,580, and we had an engineer's estimate of $458,180. So pretty close bid, and we recommend award to that one as well.
All right. Any questions for Chad? All right. A motion would be in order.
My little light. I had a comment first. You know, we go through these, but these are annual, so it's not that, you know, we just sign them right off the cuff or okay them right off the cuff. And the importance of is being able to see, especially here with darkness, with the amount of rain we get, it is immeasurable. So very important. But I do have a motion to read. I move to award the 2025 paint line striping and raised pavement markings replacement project to Construction Ahead, Inc., DBA Pavement Surface Control, in the amount of $427,580, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chad. Item number 11 is executive session. We do not have one this evening, so that does bring us down to the bottom of the agenda. I want to say thank you to everyone for taking the time to come out this evening. And with that, we are adjourned.